Hello, Henshin heroes, and welcome to a special video edition of Henshin Power V3, where three friends have 3 minutes to talk about tokusatsu. I'm Nathan Marchand, aka the Subro.
I'm Jake, aka the Metal Don.
Yeah, normally we'd be doing this as a live stream, but it's a holiday weekend. We've all been very busy, and yeah, so it's going to be like a live stream style video. We're probably going to have to do the same thing next week because next week is G Fest. So, yeah, but we're experimenting a little bit. Jake, this was your idea.
It was. I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, so we're going to start a nice little series. Unfortunately, Chris was unable to join us tonight, but hopefully in the future he will be able to. We will be sharing comments from him. But tonight, for this little video, we are going to start our episode by episode, hopefully weekly coverage of the newest Ultraman show, Ultraman Omega, which premiered, well, for us Americans, premiered on July 4th, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
My friend Neil Reeby was joking that the fireworks started with Ultraman Omega last night.
It's a great way to begin.
Yeah, it really was. And next week, but it's July 5th over in Japan where it actually started. So that's why it's a little goofy here. So
Yeah.
Things are going to be a little bit different. I don't have my normal setup because I'm visiting my parents. So that's why I've got the virtual background and I'm not using my normal podcast setup because this was mildly impromptu, or rather I just didn't want to bring all my podcast gear.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I just got back from fireworks with the nephews and the niece tonight. And yeah, so.
How was that?
A lot of fun. That was pretty good, actually. My parents were a little worried that they wouldn't cooperate, but they listened to Uncle Nathan and Uncle Jared, my brother. So we had a good time. Might have helped that I bought them. It might have helped that I bought them all ice cream. So
right.
So we went to a little lake town nearby where they were shooting fireworks off. We went to their park, and right next to the park is a lakeside restaurant and pizzerias, and they were selling ice cream. So like, how much is the ice cream? It's like, oh, it's like $2. It's like $2 a piece, and I'll buy ice cream for everybody. So why not? So made everybody happy. But that is not.
Go ahead.
I was just to say that is not our subject for tonight. But what you can finish your thought if you want.
No, I'm good. We can go ahead.
All right, so tonight we will be talking about this right here, Ultraman Omega, which I have to admit I'm a little tickled. When they revealed the name, I was like, oh, another Ultraman with a Greek letter for a name. I might be doing this on the Film Vault, but it's a different Greek letter.
Yeah.
Listen to the Monster Island Film Vault for more on that. So, we had like I said, it premiered the other day, and we've both watched the episode. And you had a very positive reaction in our group chat with Chris.
Yeah, I've watched it 5 times now.
5 times? Wow.
Yeah. Out of the 3, well, Blazar and Art that I've watched as it came out, this is probably my favorite premiere episode.
Really? That is saying a lot, because the 3 of us on HPV3, we loved Blazar. Still love Blazar. Blazar had a very interesting premiere. Very interesting premiere.
This one was
you rated it. You rated this a 15 out of 10, which tickled me.
Well, Chris rated it the 15 out of 10.
Oh, he was the 15 out of 10. Okay, I thought you did that. Okay.
No, but I will agree with him because the beginning of it with that fight, it was great.
Normally I'm not the biggest fan of scenes that are entirely green screen, because that was very much all green screen aside from the suit actors. But I gotta give Supro credit. They threw some money at this and they made it look good.
It did look good. I mean, Yeah, I'm like you. I don't care much for all CGI, green screen, everything, but I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I was surprised, but I think that was a good way to start this off to let everybody know, hey, we're throwing some money at this. It's going to have some production value, and we got to see our hero in action, see what he's capable of, and I think that was really cool. What I find interesting, and we'll play Chris's comments. Hopefully, the audio will work. He sent us a little soundbite that I'm going to try to play through Facebook Messenger. But like I said, we'll get to that in a moment. What I find interesting from what I've seen and heard from both you and Chris is that you're like, oh, it's so cool that this Ultraman doesn't have a host. He just has a human form and he's using his crest as a weapon and all that. It's like, you poor ignorant children. You poor ignorant children. Neither of these are first. I'm getting a lot of Ultra 7 vibes from our friend Omega here because using the crest as a weapon like he did and having a human form as opposed to a human host, that started with Ultra 7.
Yeah.
All the way back in 1966. Oh, it's a great show. Absolutely great show. One of the best Ultra series.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've seen that before. Ultraman Zero he has two crests because he's the son of Ultra 7, so he uses two of them, so he gets the dual wield. So yeah, that's not so none of that was really new. However, there is something that we see in here that does not happen very often, and I give them credit. I think they're doing something really different with this. But not, I almost called you Chris. I'm sorry, Jake. What did you notice that is usually typical in Ultraman that is not in this?
Let's see. Are you talking about Ultraman himself? Or
no, the supporting cast.
No Space Patrol or Science Patrol.
There's no Science Patrol.
Yeah.
That almost never happens in Ultraman. I can only think of two other times it happened. I haven't seen this series yet, but I have been told that in the first season of Ginga, I think it's Ginga. I want to say it's Ginga. Pretty sure it's Ginga. There wasn't a Science Patrol. There was a couple of characters who were like unofficial paranormal investigators or something like that. So they're sort of a Science Patrol, but not really. And Ultraman Rising, you could argue that the group that's trying to kill all the kaiju is kind of a Science Patrol, but not really.
Yeah. Was there one in Geed?
Maybe it's Geed I'm thinking of that didn't have a Science Patrol.
No, they didn't.
Oh, it's gonna bug me till I remember. But yeah, I'll look it up later. But yeah, it might be something we talk about next week. But so far, we don't have a Science Patrol, which is a big departure. We have an amnesiac Ultraman in his human form. And we don't have the whole cast yet. There's one more main character I'm guessing is going to start next week. It's the girl.
Yeah.
And our setup is that we have our amnesiac Ultra. Doesn't really know what the heck is going on. At least has some recollection that he's an Ultraman. And he's just acting weird. And he's stuck with this one guy who's like, why are you so weird?
Yeah. I love that he took his yakisoba and ate it.
Yeah. It was such a great dynamic too. I gotta give them credit, and this is something that I feel like a lot of the newer Ultra series have been trying to do, and that is find an interesting balance point between being funny and being serious. And we had some great humor in this episode. It wasn't too overplayed. It knew when to do it. And yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like the part where he was like, "How'd you get in here?" And he's like, "This is the third floor." And then he just looks up and he's like, "The roof."
The roof, yeah. Because he sort of remembers things, but not all of them.
Hmm.
He's just like, I can fly. I can grow. I'm gonna look up that actor's name. That actor is fantastic. He is playing our human host so wonderfully alien, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the right level of strange, I feel like. Let me see. Is this for the show or is this the character? I think this is the character. Nope, this is the show. So let me look up our cast here really quick. So we have Sarato Okiba as Shori Kondo. He's our human host this time around. And then the human form, I should say. And then let's see, Haruto, I think that was it. Haruto Yoshida, who was played by Kosei Hoshimi. And he was definitely the everyman. He's just like, why are you so weird? He's there to kind of be the audience, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah, he was a good character too. Well, I think it's funny that you have a stranger in the building and he just starts rummaging through your stuff and you don't try to stop him.
Yeah.
He says it to him, but
Yeah.
I'd probably start throwing fists.
Yeah, probably. But this is Japan, so
It
be a
is.
little rude. It'll be a little rude. And then I think, as usual, I think this is a brand new universe. Doesn't have any ties to any previous continuity or anything. Although it seems like Omega is definitely not the only Ultra, but we don't know exactly what sort of connections he has. I think what they've been doing with Ultraman for a while is that they're doing the whole multiverse thing, but it's only to say that all the Ultras are from one planet, but they can go to different universes and protect those particular Earths. They really only use the multiverse as an excuse to do crossovers.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. They keep it a rather complex concept simple. So I'm wondering if we're going to see some more Ultras showing up later in the season.
That would be cool.
It would be kind of cool. But right now, I do think we need to focus on these.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't a big fan of Omega's design at first. I didn't like all the red. I didn't like all the red. The red, it felt off to me at first. But the more I saw it, the more it started to grow on me. And then finally seeing it in action, I think I have accepted it now. But it looked so strange at first because it's kind of reversing the color scheme. What would normally be red is now silver and vice versa. Which is not the first time that's happened, but it's still a little strange. And I think the first time it was done, it was for Ultraman Zerth, which is a parody. So I think reversing the color scheme was part of that parody. I can't remember. There's one other time it was done, but I can't remember what it is offhand. I'm just thinking about it because I saw somebody post a picture on, I think, X, I want to say, that said the Red-Headed League, and it was Zerth, Omega, and one other character. I can't remember who it is right now. I thought that was funny. But yeah, he's growing on me.
I think the design is cool.
Yeah.
Especially the face, the big blue eyes, the smooth red. I love it.
We don't have a lot of Ultras with blue eyes, actually. Not very many.
I also noticed that they put the extra piece on the back to cover the zipper. Because
you'd be surprised.
Like Arc and Blazar, you could see, the little piece coming up. You can definitely tell, but this one, it looks more like streamlined.
Yeah, I got to give him credit there. And we did have a kaiju. Well, we had some bug monsters at the beginning.
Yeah, that were Vegasex.
Yeah, actually, let me see. Do they have their names on here yet?
Yeah, I think they're Vegasect, and then the big one, Vegasect Large.
Okay.
Vegasect, something like that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see. Let me look up the monsters' names here. I'm trying to find it. There's also some other kind of monster-related characters who have not appeared yet either. Let me mute this real quick. Sorry, trying to navigate some stuff right now.
Fine, go ahead.
Yeah, people are coming into the room. So I'm just trying to. I can't find the list of the kaiju on here yet. Let me see.
Make sure you put the sticks in the door.
Yeah, I will. Sorry.
And you better do
Let
it
me
right.
Yeah, I better do it right. Yeah, we'll do it live. Is it Pag? Is this one I see? No, that's not it. Yeah, Vugsect. I think that's the one you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vugsect and Grame. That's the other one we saw. But Vugsect was all the insect monsters we saw at the beginning. And then we had Grame was our actual monster of the week later on. And
Yeah.
the Vugsects were, some of them were CGI, some of them they switched between CGI and suits with those. But they were
I
just
think all the
camouflage.
small ones were CGI.
Yeah.
And the big one was monster suit.
Yeah, I think so. But our actual monster of the week was Grame. Let me see if I can bring him up here. Let me see. Get a decent picture of him here. You gonna load? There you go. So I will remove that one. I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'll bring up this one. I've seen designs like this before. He's not necessarily the most original monster in the world, but I've seen these kind of drill-headed monsters before. At first, I thought we were actually going to get a legacy monster, but it's not a legacy monster; it's a new one, which is nice to see. That Supro with the newer shows has been a little bit reluctant to have new kaiju in Ultraman because it requires investing in making a new suit. So a lot of times they just try reusing suits they've already had. Ultraman Z, whatever name you prefer, had mostly I think they had like one new monster in that one. It was in the first episode. Other than that, they just brought back a bunch of other kaiju. But with each new season, I've noticed, probably because they're raking in some more money, hitting the international scene, they've been investing in doing more kaiju.
Yeah, I like this one too. You got the drill horn, and it also melts the bedrock underneath.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
because he's the burning kaiju.
The burning kaiju, yes, not to be confused with burning Godzilla. But but yeah, so I think we had a couple of pretty good kaiju, I think, to launch the show, and we have an intriguing setup. I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out. The grammar thing made me snicker, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, you is. And he's like, you mean you are?
Yeah, I like that Omega can sense the kaiju.
Yeah.
They just sniff them out and it's like, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Actually, one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, and I think it might have been done a little bit to save money, but I think it created some nice intrigue. And that was when he grabs his new buddy, and I think the implication is that he grabs him and they jumps when Graham first attacks, but we see it from the other guy's perspective as he's just holding him and jumping. He's like, "What just happened? What just happened?" And it was a really cool shot in terms of the cinematography. So he's like, "What just happened? What just happened?"
Is that the one with the POV or the one after
that?
that?
The POV. The POV.
POV. Yeah. My favorite part was at the very beginning whenever the small Bugasex was holding Omega and the big one came out. smashed the ground, hit him back, and there was a big rock behind him. He landed on it and went into Spider-Man mode. He's
Yeah.
like did a flip up and started cutting all of them.
Yeah.
That's where he did the
Yeah.
space-on beam. His
Oh,
space-on
yeah.
beam was amazing.
Yeah, they did not waste time with this one. We start the show off with, like I said, showing off what our hero can do here. So
Yeah.
I was impressed. I was very impressed. I thought this was an excellent episode to start us off. And I am very intrigued to see where this goes. Like I said, I love the setup. I love how different it is. I've been noticing that I would say probably since Blazar, it seems like Supro has been willing to get a little bit more experimental with what they've been doing. Because Z or Zet, whatever, was, kind of typical Ultraman, recycled a lot of monsters. And then they did those 2 remakes with Trigger and Decker. And then they went to Blazar, and suddenly they're figuring out how to shake up the formula.
Right.
Because Ultra, you can guarantee when you with an Ultraman show, you kind of know what to expect because they don't really deviate from it too much. The differences are in the details, but in the last few, they've been kind of like really messing with that. Blazar, the Ultra host, was the captain, which created a whole new set of conflicts and problems. Lark was kind of strange. It was weird in terms of style at points. It was familiar, but then they would get really weird. Like they had some episodes there's one episode in particular of Arc where like, did Akio Josoji come back from the dead and direct this? Because it was so strange. And now we have this that's really shaking up the formula. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, I think once the girl gets in, I'm wondering if it'll be a bit like Ultra Q.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, what Ultra Q was about 3 people, a reporter, a scientist, and their pilot, and they would just go around and investigate strange things that were going on. It usually led to monsters.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's going to be a little bit like that.
I don't know. I'm excited to find out.
I am as well. All right, let's see if I can play our funny little Facebook message here from Mr. Sentai Guy, since he couldn't make it. I'm going to try to bring it up. Wow, okay, more people are trying to message me. Let's text those off.
I should have had my camera out.
All right, let's see. Let's see if it works. I'll play it for a few seconds. Let me know if you hear it, Jake.
Hey, everyone.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Sorry I missed the stream this week. Work called. But I did watch the first episode of Omega. I love both of our main protagonists, the human and Omega. I'm very interested in the fact that the Ultra this time has a human form. He doesn't have a host from the looks of it. And it seems like this time it's in a separate universe, which is very interesting. So I'm just very curious to see. I love the design. I love how they're incorporating his design as part of his weaponry. I love the way they're using the Specium beam and everything else. And I can't wait to see more.
Well, there you go. He's commented on a lot of the same things we did. And like I said, none of those are necessarily new. Ultra 7 has done it before. I do think this might be the first time that they've done the human form and not the host in. Is it the first time? It's the first time in a while. I'm trying to remember when was the last time that they did. I want to say Jeed? I think. Could be wrong on that. It doesn't happen very often. They did it with 7. They did it with Leo. They did it with 80. I'm running through all of the Heisei Ultras and I'm trying to see if any of them did that. No, I think most of the Heisei Ultras they had human hosts. Yeah. Although, well, no, Zero's had hosts. They're just kind of one-off hosts because he didn't have a show. He was just in specials and movies and occasionally on other people's shows. So yeah, not something that happens often, but it does happen.
All right.
Although
I got one
although
thing to ask
the
you,
huh?
I got one thing to ask you.
What's
So
that?
whenever his color timer was going off, he came back down and he started to shoot him with some blasts out of his hand, but it seemed like they wasn't working good. Do you think when his color timer is going off, he starts to lose like his energy blasts?
That's a good observation. It would be interesting if they went that route with this one. I like that concept. Pay no attention to my brother who just walked into the room. We'll do it live. Jared, you don't have to close the door. It's okay. And he's going to close the door anyway. All right. Background noise. Yeah, but I do think that would be intriguing. You know, we find out that there's a drawback to letting the color timer go off. Again, shaking up the formula a little bit. I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. So, yeah. Great work, Supro. You're off to a great start here. And I can't wait to see more. Don't know how we're going to squeeze in a viewing of next week's episode during G-Fest, but we'll figure something out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. And there's going to be another Ultraman, very different Ultraman in the Superman movie.
Yep.
You already found one of the action figures of him.
That's
a little bit of a joke.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'm the one that told you that he was Ultraman.
I had heard that he was going to be in the movie. I just wasn't sure which character I'd seen in the trailer was actually going to be him. But yeah, for those who don't know, it's kind of funny. There is another Ultraman. He's a DC comic character, and I'm going to see if I can pull him up here. He is an alternate universe. He's an evil alternate universe Superman. This is kind of a silly picture of him, but it's what they're using on Wikipedia right now. This is completely tangential, and I don't care. But yeah, Ultraman.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Earth 2, ain't it?
I believe so. Oh, here's some newer artwork for Ultraman. Yeah, he's got a big U on his chest. Thing is, let's see. Oh, that was 2015. Thing is, look right here. He predates Japanese Ultraman by 2 years.
Yeah.
August 1964. So he technically came first.
At least we did something first.
At least we did something first. Now there's a funny fan fiction waiting to happen. Ultraman versus Ultraman.
That'd be a fight.
Honestly, I don't know who's winning that one because if Ultraman's got all the same powers as Superman, this is this is gonna take a while.
I got my money on DC.
You got your money on DC? You think you can take him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's just like I've kind of gotten disenchanted with power scaling. I got into a debate, totally tangential right here. I got into a debate with a so-called Godzilla fan the other night who had the stupidest who thought basically everything but Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1 was all quote unquote bad and stupid, and didn't like the MonsterVerse, but he still accepted the old Japanese movies. It was weird. I'm like, oh, you're one of those fans, and said that Godzilla was better than Kong just because Godzilla won. I'm like, your determination of good character is whether or not they win a fight or not.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's ridiculous.
You make no sense, sir. I don't understand. I really don't understand. So it's like, by that logic, no one should like Rocky because he lost the fight in the first movie. Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen a 50-year-old classic. He doesn't win in the first movie. I don't know. But to go back to Ultraman, I think this is off to a great start. Can't wait to see what we have for the next 25 episodes, and we'll see where we go from here. I am locked in for this ride. I've probably the last these on the regular since Zet, and I thought Zet was fine. Trigger and Decker were all right. I kept up with them because I'm a fan, so I kept up with them. Blazar had me locked in from episode 1. I was like, boom, I'm there. But it's got our boy in it, Johnny Young Bosch. And Arc had to work a little bit, liking it as it went along. I wasn't 100% sure at first because it was very different from Blazar. This one, it's got me locked in. I really want to see what's going on here. So,
yeah,
who knows? Depending on how we feel about it, I mean, I'd be okay with doing some regular episodes of the podcast on this one.
Yeah, same here.
Why not?
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks for joining us this week. And hopefully Chris will be with us and we'll be coming to you live from G-Fest. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, and we might get to meet Ultraman and a few kaiju while we're there because the Ultraman Hero Experience is going to be at G-Fest. And good Lord, it's going to be nuts.
Yep.
Good freaking Lord. All right. Well, see you next time, Henshin Heroes.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to Henshin Power V3, a podcast produced and hosted by Nathan Marchand,
Christopher Reiner,
And Jake Amber.
If you'd like to send us feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So email us at henshin.power.v3@gmail.com.
Follow us on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Thank you, Danny DeManna. Where our handle is at Henshin Power V3, and join our official Facebook groups, Power Rangers Legacy and the Marvel Out Lounge. We also have a Discord server called the Marvel Out Lounge. Check the show notes for links to all of them.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other great podcatchers. The podcast logo was designed by Rebecca Hutchins. Follow her on Instagram at super_r_illustrations.
Our theme song is a Joe the Hero remix by GVG Kid, which is based on a track from the video game Beautiful Joe.
All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended or implied.
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podchaser to spread the word about the show. And until next time,
Watch!